All right. So we're going to be talking about building relationships as instructional coaches and giving 2 examples of feedback today. Why is it important that we build relationships with our teachers? It's like really the heart of what coaching is. You can't really collaborate. You cannot, they can't be vulnerable with you. You need to be able to speak truth and give them strategies in the classroom, and they are not going to be receptive to those things if there's no relationship there. So last year, Todd was my intern. And so I asked him when I first had this assignment, like, what was one of the things to him that stuck out for how we built a relationship in the beginning. So I'm going to let him share one of the ways that was really important to him.
Well, one of the biggest things was I had a whole lot of questions because I was brand new, and so you made me feel real comfortable when I asked my questions. You never belittled me.
Mm-hmm.
You always took the time, no matter what you were doing or how busy you were, to give me a moment and listen to what I had to ask you, and you always gave me a good answer and pointed me in the right direction, which for an intern is huge.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So basically what Todd was explaining is I basically treated him as an equal. So I think as coaches, we need to make sure, I know sometimes it's not our fault. Sometimes the teachers do see you as another assistant principal coming into the room. But if we come across as letting them see our weaknesses, letting them know that we're still learning as well, but we just have a little bit more time to do research, and we see other things going in and on in other classrooms that we can share with them. When we're teachers, we're pretty isolated. We kind of do our own thing, and we don't get to see all the practices that are going on across campuses where the coaches have that benefit. So being able to just make sure that you treat them as your equal and that you don't, like Todd said, belittle them for their questions, because that's what you're there for. The second way that I think that is important is to keep students at the center. This helps a lot because it keeps you from personally attacking the teacher or making them feel attacked. If we can redirect whatever it is that we're talking about, like, okay, well, did that work? It might have been a great idea in theory. We do this every day. We have great ideas, but did the kids respond? Did the students, were they able to learn through that way of doing it? And if we just keep that focus on that and not attacking the actual lesson or the person that's doing it. So that was my second way of. So now we're going to give an example of what a feedback situation would be. So this is a scenario for the first feedback. And we're just going to pretend that I'm giving Mr. Stevenson some feedback. All right. Thank you for allowing me to observe today. I love that your interactions with the students when you came in, you seem to have a good rapport with them, and they seem to be able to share things with you very openly.
Yeah, yesterday's lesson went pretty good. I'm still having a hard time getting them engaged in the very beginning of class because they seem to mull around and it takes a little longer than I want for class to get started.
Is there any specific procedures that you have for your students when they enter the room? Like, what do you expect them to do while you're taking roll?
I want them to come in calmly. I want them to get in their assigned seats and be ready to work while I take roll. But they want to ask a lot of questions and they want to visit with their neighbors. And so when I'm done with roll, I have to usually get their attention so that I can start the lesson. And it takes a while to stop all those individual conversations that are going on.
Right. Well, I noticed you got their attention pretty quickly, but they still had to get their supplies out, specifically their computers, which you probably use on an everyday basis.
Yeah, I do. And that also takes up a lot of time because I have to get the computer out and have to sign on and all that.
Right. What do you think about having your students get their supplies out while you're taking roll rather than visiting and getting distracted right before you start the lesson?
That'd be a great idea. It's hard to monitor it when you're in the computer taking roll.
Right.
So it's hard to, you need that other set of eyes.
I know it's crazy, but one of the hardest things for me to do is take roll every day. So what I do that's kind of helpful that, you might find valuable is I have a projector set up every day. They come in, it's set up the same way. On the left side, we have like a pre-bell work assignment. On the right side is the bell work. On the pre-bell, it says pre-bell. So it's before the bell. I want you to have these things. And I make it very simple because it is before the bell. And you have some kids that are walking in right as the bell's ringing. But it's usually just to have their supplies out. for that day. And then while I'm taking roll, I have them do the actual bell work part.
Okay. That's a great idea. I can give that a try. No, totally. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
So great. I'll help you set up your first one if you like.
Sweet.
Okay. All right. So that would be more like procedural, like classroom management type thing that I help give a feedback on that. So one of the other things that's real important is after you do that is just don't leave them out to dry, but come back to check to see how it's going, because there might be some little tweaks that you can help them with, because that was a lot to do as a big step. So I'm going to come back and visit Todd. And in the second scenario, hi, I wanted to stop by and check and see how the pre-bell work and bell work procedures are working.
So it's still a work in progress. I still have to remind students to go ahead and get in their seats and read the board, actually look at the board,
Right.
what I have projected up there. And then to get them to do the bell work, it's taken still a little longer than I would like.
Can you tell me what types of bell work you're giving?
So I'm asking students to respond to a question or, with a paragraph in their notebooks. And that way I can grade that at the end of the week.
Okay. What exactly are you, like, think about the goal that you have for bell work. So what would you ideally want them to get out of it?
First, to give them something to do while I'm taking roll, something productive to do while I'm taking roll, I should say. And then to get them thinking about just getting their brains engaged and thinking about what we're going to do in class that day.
Okay. Ideally, bell work should take about 5 minutes. Are your students able to write that paragraph in 5 minutes?
In a word, no.
Yeah. So thinking about the true purpose of what bell work is it necessary that they write a paragraph?
Well, the thing is, I want them to write more than just the typical yes or no answer. I want them to actually put a little thought into it. So that's really the goal here.
Okay. I understand. Whoops. How about we focus on wording your questions, like to avoid yes or no answers? That way that they're written in a way that they have to write a thought out answer. And maybe also look at constructing sentence starters or fill in the blank paragraphs to save some time.
Great ideas. Any help you can give me would be awesome.
Okay. Well, I'll come by after school and I'll show you some of the ideas and some resources.
Okie dokie.
Okay, so that's the second way of sharing. As you can see, I led Todd through letting him kind of think it out and not necessarily saying, okay, why are you making him write a paragraph? But making him really kind of think about what is the goal? What is the end goal for this situation? And then again, pointing them back to the students and what it is that they're capable of doing and what is your end goal to keep in mind. So those are two ways to give different feedback. Thank you.